It rained when I found you. So it rained when I lost you. That's why I get the blues when it rains.
Hey, this is Nathan James. I just got back from a tour of the Northwest where I took along my trusty Quilter Micro Pro amp, and we had a good time playing many nights on the road, and it never failed to give me the sound that I wanted each night, and had a lot of questions asked about it, and I was happy to demonstrate and tell people about this good amp and how well it's been working out for me. I'm from a small town of Fallbrook, California, and I got into the blues basically just because there was, not much to do in a small town, and I was learning how to play guitar. And once I picked up the guitar, I learned there was all kinds of music out there. And when I really got into blues, and especially the real old style blues, which was the finger style, what they call country blues, which is Delta blues, Piedmont blues, basically a guy in a guitar and singing by himself. That was really my favorite sound because I found it the most challenging and the most unique, because each guy would have completely their own style, and almost more than just being a certain genre, they would just have a cool sound. So that kind of goes in with my whole theme of having a different guitar and a cool amp. And with my band that I am leading these days called the Rhythm Scratchers, I wanted to have a different look and a different sound, so I experimented one summer with this washboard and guitar combination, which is exactly what it is, a washboard and a guitar together. And it has the pickups pick up the sound of the washboard a little bit. This guitar I handmade myself. I carved the neck and just put it together. I mean, you can make an electric guitar out of anything, really. So I don't really consider it a real major feat. You know, building a cabinet would be much harder than this, probably. Well, I'm really influenced by the early blues guitar players that played the acoustic style. I guess it's kind of considered nowadays, but back then that's all it was, all they had. Blues from the 1920s and 30s is at the backbone of my influence. And so I've kind of learned to incorporate that in a little bit more modern electric style with different rhythms and stuff. That I just kind of put it all together I prefer to kind of call it American roots music, because there's a lot more than just blues, really. So I just am basically a blues-based American roots style guitar player, and everything that I do, songs and singing, I try to mix it all up and have different sounds within that. We've been getting busier and busier each year, and I'm lucky that I'm still staying afloat and growing a little bit, with each year. And I get the fortune to travel a lot to Europe and a little bit in the States. And I travel a lot solo, but also with the James Harmon Band. And then I get to bring my own trio out on the road as much as I can as well. And then also the combination of my trio with the James Harmon Band. And we get to travel around a lot and do the whole review. I have a new record coming out on the Delta Groove recording label, based here on the West Coast, and they specialize in roots music and blues. And I'm honored to have my first release on their label, entitled Nathan James and the Rhythm Scratchers, What You Make of It. And I kind of have a theme on the album that it's all my homemade washboard guitars on each track, with the exception of one track is an acoustic song where I play my resonator guitar. But yeah, it's coming out right now. It's going to be in stores March 20th, but I have them for sale. And today, as a matter of fact, we're getting ready to go do a CD release party. When I take a break, from the set, when we're playing, guitar players will come up to me and they'll say, "What is that? The sound that I hear coming out of that little thing?" I own or have owned most of the classic, vintage guitar tube amps and whatnot, and I know how to get sounds that I want out of those amps or any amp. And so this was real easy to, because I know the sound in my head and I know how to kind of dial it in. The weight is probably one of the coolest things about it, and the fact that, in the size, you know, because nowadays everything, we have to be really efficient to be in business and to travel around, and even venues that we play are little tiny venues, you know, on the off nights or when we're at home, you know, when you got to make a living, you got to play little, sometimes restaurants now, and the cool thing about this is the size and then actually the microphone input that I've been using a lot. So I could sing and play through it as opposed to having a PA head, 2 PA speakers, and a guitar amp. Now on these little gigs, I can bring this out and it sounds just as good. And I actually play a lot of baritone guitars, and they work great through it too. Surprisingly, it never has a problem carrying a low A-tuned baritone guitar at full stage volume. So what we have here is a thing I put together I call the Tritar. And it's, I was walking around a hardware store one day looking for things that would resemble some kind of guitar neck or stringed instrument. At this point, it's beyond guitar now. So I saw this beautiful genuine hickory axe handle, and I had a stockpile of washboards. This one actually has been in the water in the soap and washed a couple loads of laundry. And so I put this together, 3 strings, and it's for playing slide guitar. Obviously there's no frets on it, although I do have a couple frets made out of coins, experimental frets. So it gets a good funky sound for playing some real gutsy kind of root sound. So I come up with this. I'll play a little bit for you right now.